Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Energy Inside Motion. I'm here today with my guest, Dahlia Rae. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
So, Dahlia, would you like to just give like a brief introduction of yourself to the audience, just like what you do?
So I am Dahlia, as Callum said. I am to be fair, I like to just call myself now just a creative artist. I sing, rap, do a bit of crochet here and there. Yeah, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, whereabouts did you grow up?
Grew up in Handsworth. Still, yeah. Nice little area. Would recommend.
So, what was your environment like when you were younger?
You know what? I really enjoyed growing up in Handsworth, because it was, I'd say, I don't know if it still is now, because I don't live there anymore, but when I was growing up, it was a very multicultural area. And, the school I went to, they actually celebrated a lot of different holidays. So we'd celebrate Eid, we'd celebrate Diwali, we'd celebrate obviously Christmas, stuff like that. And we really got to learn about other people's cultures. So that's one thing I really enjoyed about growing up in Handsworth.
How would you say the area that you grew up in has influenced you as a person?
Well, it's kind of made me who I am today, because when I moved out of Handsworth, I moved to a different area. I went to Kings Norton, and obviously that area is completely different to growing up in Handsworth. It was almost like a culture shock, because me being young, I didn't understand or have the knowledge that not everyone is the same. Not everyone obviously has the same ways of going about life. Not everyone has the same ways of living. So when I moved to Kings Norton, it was a bit of a shock to me, because I quickly realised that these people ain't like how it is in Handsworth. So for me, it was keeping that essence there and staying true to like the core of where I came from.
What age did you start doing music?
I've always done it, like from nursery. Well, not say I've always done music, but I've always like sang. So I started off as a singer. So I always sang, and like talent shows and stuff like that in school, I would always do those. I'd say I started taking music seriously when I left school. So between the ages of 15 and 16, I was like, okay, I think I want to like actually do music now and start writing music and stuff like that. So between the ages, I would say 16 and 19, I was kind of just like focusing on the actual skills of like songwriting, finding sort of like my voice, my identity and stuff like that. So I didn't end up putting anything out until I was actually 21. 21. And then, just from there, really and truly. So it's been a lifelong thing, but in terms of actually putting stuff out there and sort of finding myself, it's more recent.
Okay. So have your parents had any sort of impact on your creativity?
Definitely. When I was younger, because like I said, I'd done music from, singing and stuff like that from when I was young, they would always encourage me. So when I was between, I want to say 6 and 7, I went to Stagecoach. So that was singing and dancing and acting. So I did that for about a year and a half. And then any little like thing that like I said, like talent shows, whether that was in school or outside of school, I'd always go and do those kind of things. They'd always, if they saw anything, they'd go and make me sing or, just put me forward for like a competition or something like that. So they were really encouraging. And one thing I really cherish about that is the fact that they never told me to like be realistic about life, or, they always pushed this sort of creative part of me.
What were some of your inspirations or influences to do music?
When I writ Subliminals, because obviously I had written songs before that, but I was in a space prior to that where I was like, I don't feel like this is good enough to put out. Like, I know that if I put these out, and to be fair, it's like, yes, I could put them out and start building a catalogue, but I'm a quality over quantity kind of person, and I think maybe that doesn't always work in my favour, because I've only got a few songs out at the minute which I believe are quality. However, when I wrote that song, I knew the moment that I wrote it, I was like, yeah, this is the one that's gonna go out. I'd say my influences behind that, I had just like, basically in 2020, J-Hus had literally just dropped Big Conspiracy, and I was like binge listening to that album like every single day. So I would say that I can't tell you exactly how it influenced me and inspired me, but I definitely say that the album had an influence on, I think, just the style of writing and the way that I was writing, because that was something that I was consuming a lot at the time.
Yeah, just for the audience as well, like what are some of the main genres that you dive into in your music?
Mainly hip hop and neo soul. I do dabble in a bit of R&B here and there, but I'd say neo soul is more the basis than R&B.
What were some of your hip hop influences besides J Hus?
I'd say J. Cole, because he was a massive influence, like when I was learning, like honing in on my skills and stuff like that. Like I said, between the ages of like 16 and 19, he was someone that I took a lot of influence from, just in terms of like learning how to study other artists. And obviously the way that he, his sort of like lyrical content, the way that he delivered and stuff like that, that was something that I really liked about it. So I'd say him. I'd say of recent, Dolce's someone that I really, really enjoy. It's just sort of watching, not even just listening to, just like watching her journey. And Gets, I really enjoy Gets. Like the way that he delivers and he performs is something that I really, really love as well.
So, with your music, what are some of the main topics that you like to cover in your music?
I don't really have any specific topics, you know. It's just like if I have something to say, then I'll write it down. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't really have like topics, or I'd say though, it's more real life experiences. So a lot of the music that I put out is literally like everything that I've either gone through or something that I've experienced. Yeah, it's very raw. Like it's very, very raw. So I think as well, that's why I am quite delicate about what I put out there. And you know, sometimes I have to feel like I'm ready to release that or showcase that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't really have any specific topics, but it's just real life experiences.
What's one of the biggest experiences that you've had that shaped your music and you as an artist?
I don't think I've had one just yet. I still feel like I'm relatively early in my journey still. Like I haven't really, like I've done great things, and I've, you know, I think I'm proud, not say I think, but I am proud of the stuff that I've done. However, I definitely think that there's more to come. I don't think I've had that shaping moment just yet.
Have you had any mentorship in your
Nah, everything I've kind of done, I've learned myself and implemented those things myself.
In terms of your songwriting as well, what is your creative process like behind songwriting?
It's funny because I don't really have one. Like, I don't really have a process, you know, and I don't know if, again, that's something that is a hindrance to sort of my creative process, because when I go to put on a beat and stuff like that, sometimes I can't get anything. Sometimes I feel like I permanently live in like this writer's block sometimes, and I'm like waiting for inspiration to come. However, when I am in that sort of flow state of writing, it just comes. Like, again, that's why I say, like, if I feel like if I have something to say, then I'll be able, like, then it kind of just flows a lot easier. But again, when I am in that flow state though, if I do ever get like stuck, or I'll come, like I say, like I finish a concept within that piece that I'm writing, I'll always say to myself, okay, but what am I trying to say next? Like, is there a direction that I want to go in? Have I said this before, and maybe let's like reword it? Do I want to speak on something again? Is, you know, there's something going on in the world that I feel like needs to be spoken about, and then kind of that's where I'll draw inspiration from when it comes to writing.
What advice would you have for creatives who are trying to get into music?
I always say be authentic and be yourself. Like, yes, you can take inspiration from your peers around you. However, find your voice within that, find yourself within that, because it's so easy to get kind of lost in the noise of what's going on. Yeah, that's a piece of advice I'd say.
How do you yourself stay centered in your own authenticity?
I mean, I've always been able to kind of float between being a part of the crowd and sort of being outside the crowd. And I'm a person that when I was sort of like shaping my branding and sort of like learning myself, I actually took a lot of time to learn myself, and that allowed me to kind of show up in a room and be authentically me. Like I don't have to go into a room and feel like I need to appease every single person in the room, or there's a, you know, I need validation from, just because so-and-so's over there, I need validation from them. And, you know, it kind of bleeds into the way that I am now as well, because I feel like where we are musically as a scene, there's a lot of I don't want to say a lot of, but it feels like in my mind, and maybe I'm not using the correct terminology, but like a hierarchy of like, okay, you know, these people are here, you kind of want to get here, and you kind of need the validation from those people. And for me personally, like I just want to create my own bubble, my own world, my own path, and that's for me how I've been able to kind of keep myself centered.
Okay. How have you built your own audience?
If I'm being honest, I don't know yet if I have like a solidified audience. I feel like I have people that listen to my music and they'll shout me and they'll send me praises and stuff like that. But in terms of like a solidified audience, that's something I'm still learning how to build.
So like obviously you've come into the industry. What are some of the obstacles that you've faced and how have you overcome those obstacles?
That's a funny question because I want to say I feel like right now I am my own obstacle because there's a level of consistency, there's a level of sort of like showing up for myself that I have yet to sort of like really go full throttle with, you know what I mean? Like I know I could be a lot further if I had that consistency, which at the moment I don't, and there's just so many things happening as to why that can't happen. But then in the same breath, there's people that still make it work. So then it's also not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? And I think with what I've been able to achieve, with what I've been able to achieve so far, I'm still proud of that. However, I'm still striving for more, and I'm still striving to like get to the point where consistency is the forefront of what I'm doing, and I can actually reach those kind of goals and stuff like that. Because for me, I haven't really faced any like industry obstacles. I think like I said, I'm proud of what I've achieved so far, but I am at the moment in my own way.
How have you sort of like formed your own personal brand?
I take a lot of inspiration from the things that I like. Like, I love stories. I love stories so much. And I've kind of, like at the moment, I'm at a point where when I listen back to my own music, I realise that I'm actually telling stories through my music. So I like to kind of centre myself around kind of being a storyteller, like a person that likes to tell stories and stuff like that. In terms of like my image and whatnot, although I'm not in artist image today, when I am, I like to, again, draw inspiration from sort of like me growing up and stuff like that. I like to wear like bangles. I like to wear like a lot of jewelry and stuff like that. That comes from, being really embedded in South Asian culture when I was younger. My nan used to take me around, she used to take me like temple and stuff like that when I was younger. So those are the things that I like to implement into sort of like who I am today. And yeah, like I think my style also just comes from wanting to be unique and different. When I was growing up and when I was sort of like finding my identity and stuff like that, I did actually struggle to express myself speaking. So I would dress in a way where my clothes would express myself for me, and then obviously that would draw people to have a conversation with me and stuff like that. So yeah, that's, I guess, yeah.
What advice do you have for creatives who are trying to translate their authenticity into actually like being an artist?
Reword that question for me.
Okay. So what advice do you have for creatives who they have like their authenticity, but they want to like convey that into like being an artist?
I'd say find the things that you like. Like, is there a specific way of dressing that you like but don't know how to execute? And if you don't know how to execute it, then I always think back to like, how did you learn in school? Like when you were learning a new, like for example, say, I don't know, art. When you were learning a new style in art, you would go back and you would learn the history of it. Then you would learn how it started. And then you would learn about other creatives that would implement that style into how they would, deliver their art styles. And I just kind of look at it like that, like always go back. Like there's always room for learning. Do you get what I'm saying? That a lot of what our foundation is built off is people that's come before us. So study the people that have come before you and then make it your own. Like I said, don't just copy what someone else has got going on. How can you make it your own? And I think that's how, we have someone like someone like Doechii, who she's, you know, evidently studied the people that's come before her, but she's still been able to uniquely make her style of rap, her style of dressing, all of that her own. Yeah.
How do you feel like your journey of growth has been as an artist, and how do you like continue to grow as an artist?
Learning, literally, like it's literally one of my biggest things. Like I love learning and going back and then implementing. I'd say one thing about me is I always want to be the best person in my own lane. I have to do better than what I've done yesterday. So although in one breath I'll say I am sort of like in my own way showing up musically, I'm still in the background making sure that I am, you know, constantly shifting and crafting myself, whether that's my branding, whether that's how can I, you know, execute this differently, how can I, you know, because I can see what's going on, and I can see my peers and they're doing amazing things, but how can I, for me, feel like I can not even necessarily want up, but just like do better, but for me, my own personal self. So yeah.
What do you feel like makes you stand out as an artist in the scene, and like, yeah?
I would say my ability to adapt, you know, like I feel like I can show up in any sort of setting and situation and deliver. You know, I don't, like I said, I don't just do music. I'll make my own clothes and stuff like that as well. So a lot of when I make my own clothes and stuff like that, and I do a lot of my own creative direction. So all like videos that you'll see, whether that's a freestyle video, whether that's a cover art, that's all me. That's all my idea. Obviously, I'll have someone help me, like, you know, execute and stuff like that. But I do a lot of my own work. Like everything that you see from me is my own idea. I don't have to go to anyone else and, you know, oh, can you help me with this idea or no? Like everything is from my mind. And again, that goes into sort of like the clothes making and stuff like that. When I was doing the shoot for Introspection, I was like, I need like, I had the fit in my mind, and I said I need to find this, and literally just like made it. And I think that's probably one of the best cover arts I've done, even though my other ones are illustrated and I think they're amazing as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, it's just showing up in different areas and being the best person I can be for me in those areas.
What fuels your drive to want to do your own creative direction? Because that's quite an ambitious thing.
I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want what everyone else is. I don't want the same cover art as no one else. I don't want to have the same video ideas as anyone else. I don't want to look like anyone else. And that's not a diss to anyone else. I just really, really take pride in knowing I am uniquely different to somebody else.
So getting in, obviously quite focused on, you know, having your own strong identity within music. I want to get a bit into your sound, so like your sound. So what is your dynamic between like you and the producer to curate a sound that really represents you?
Do you know what? I'm still finding my sound. Like I feel like I said, I kind of like sit between neo soul and hip hop at the moment. However, I'm playing around with the two of them. So like I was just playing around the other day with a neo soul beat, but then I'm like doing like poetry on there, but then also singing, and then I've gone into like a rap and stuff like that. And where I was listening back to it, it's only like a little rubbish garage band demo, but I was listening back to it and I was like, this sounds so, it sounds like something you would hear, but I haven't heard it, you know? So I think for me, I don't necessarily work alongside any, like I've got people that I work with in London, my collective Last Normal Year, but in terms of like actually cultivating a sound, I think that's something that I'm still figuring out, and I'm just doing that from my bedroom. And I think once I'm comfortable within that, I think that's when I'll go to like a producer and be like, okay, cool, this is sort of like what I've been working on. How do we now develop this? Because obviously I'm also a person that also knows I can't do everything by myself. And sort of like once I hit that brick wall of I can't do anything anymore, I can then, you know, venture out to the networks and see how I can develop.
Okay. So with your song Introspection, what was the inspiration behind that song, and how did that song come together?
it goes back to me saying, in terms of like speaking, I was really like, when I was growing up, I had a stutter. So I never, I used to stutter when I was nervous or stutter when I was really excited. So when I was growing up, that kind of hindered the way I used to articulate myself. And I never used to like public speaking. I never used to like speaking to people because of that. And, obviously, when you're performing on stage, and I used to always watch people perform and then interact with the crowd so like amazingly, and I just kind of get up there, just be like, "Hi, Dahlia, this is my song. Let's go." Do you know what I mean? And I never had that. And even still now, like I still kind of struggle to sort of like introduce myself, and I didn't know whether that was like imposter syndrome or just again just kind of like that fear of speaking. So yeah, I created introspection, and I was like, this song can be a way for people to learn about me without me having to actually speak. I'll just rap it, you know. So that's why introspection starts the way it does. But yeah.
In what ways do you feel like you've overcome fear in your career, and what advice do you have for creatives who maybe feel fear around creating?
Just going for it, you know, just going for it, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a beauty in the unknown, and there's so much growth in trying something that you haven't tried before, or walking into a room that, you know, you feel afraid to walk in, and then owning that space. And I think there's many times where I've been in positions where I've been, can I swear? That I've been like shit scared of, you know, being in a room and kind of feeling like I'm not meant to be there, and actually coming out feeling more fulfilled than when I actually, you know, started. So I think for me, it's just trying something new and just like do it scared, just do it scared. It's like, it's okay, because you don't know what's on the other side of it. And like I said, like there's growth within that. And advice I'd give is literally do it scared. If you're afraid and that fear makes you not want to do it, then ask yourself, how much do you want it? You know? And if that overrides how much you want it, then find something else to do. Do you know what I mean? But I think as creatives, obviously we kind of get into our mind a lot. We can get into our mind a lot and say, oh, you know, I don't want to do this no more. It's not working out. And every time I've hit that, I've said, no. Let's go again. Let's do a rerun, and, you know, I show up for myself even more than I did before.
Okay. So what was your experience like performing live the first time compared to the last time?
I don't remember the first time I ever performed, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Like that could have been when I was like 6 years old. I've never really been scared to perform though. I don't like talking, but I've never really been scared to perform. I think for me, performing was always... Actually, I'll tell you a time where I was actually in year 7, and I don't know what came over me, but I don't like intimate settings. So like if we were in a space like this and there was only like 10 people in front of me, I'd be so scared. I don't know what it is. I don't like intimate settings. I prefer when I can't see the crowd, and, you know, I have no idea who's in the crowd. And there was this time I was in year 7 and I did like a talent show, and I was just shaking. But I was like, what's going on? Because this has never happened before. But I've got like everyone staring at me, and I'm like, I don't like this. So that was one time I was like really, really like anxious to perform. However, I've never been afraid of showing, you know, that I can perform and that I am a talented individual. I actually love performing. It gives me like a, you know, a nice little thrill.
So obviously I feel like performance is a big aspect of being an artist. So how did you come up with your own, I guess, performance style, if you'd say you had that, and how can creatives find their own unique performance style?
Again, I think it goes, well, for me anyway, it goes back to like knowing yourself, because I know that when I first get on stage, like I said, introducing myself, I can get quite nervous. So I always ask for a stool to sit down so I don't have to stand and be visibly shaking in front of people, you know. So yeah, like I think just like knowing yourself, knowing your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to that. Because I know that like once I start getting into it, I mean, like the second song, I'm like standing up now, I'm interacting with the crowd a bit more. I'm, you know, you know what I mean? It's just like things like that. So I think sort of knowing yourself, also knowing what kind of performer you are. Because for me, my songs are quite slow, especially something like Introspection or Purpose. So kind of sitting down kind of goes hand in hand with that. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, if you've got a jumpy, song, you probably want the stage to be a bit more clear. You want space to move around. You know what I mean? So I think knowing yourself and knowing what kind of performer you are, and I would always encourage people to perform. I think we do live in a day and age where knowing how to perform, people kind of lack in that area. And I think that's something that's missing from just sort of like the scene. And, because I've gone to a few concerts where I've loved the artist, but the actual performance itself hasn't really been up to par, so, yeah.
So obviously, I'm aware you're in a collective as well. Would you like to tell the audience a bit about the collective you're in and how you work?
Yeah, so the collective's called Last Normal Year. I think the boys would probably be able to give you a better description of what Last Normal Year actually means. But I met them when I was at uni. So again, this goes back into just sort of like me nervous to speak to people. When I was in my second year of uni, I kind of said to myself, I said, you're going to have to start going to some networking events and stuff like that. And I went to this one particular networking event, and they were like speaking about their jobs in the industry and stuff like that. And there was this one particular girl that stood out to me, and I was like, I'm gonna go speak to her. Like, I'm gonna get myself up and speak to her. And I spoke to her, and she was managing an artist at the time, Dahlia Rae, who's the other artist in the collective, amazing rapper by the way. And she invited me down to a studio session, and that's where I met SI and CM. They're the producers, and then we got another producer in there, DK. I met them, and then kind of like from there, I was working with SI for a little bit. I'd go to a studio and record and stuff like that, and favor for favor, all those kind of things. And then like they had the Last Normal Year unit at the time, but I wasn't actually a part of it. Like I said, I was just sort of floating in and out, working with SI, and I really, really enjoyed it. When you meet people and it's like just from the jump, everyone's energy is just amazing. And then I'd say like a couple months later, they just added me to the group chat, and I was like, oh, hi there, like I guess I'm involved now. And then from there, it's just been strength to strength. Like I really, really enjoy it. I love being a part of the collective. I think it adds another layer of identity, and I enjoy it, man. I think the boys are amazing. Like everyone's just got a dollar and a dream in it, and everyone wants to make it. And because we share that collectively, it kind of feels like the load is less because of that. So like you can push them, they can push you.
So how important is like your music for just your own personal self to like express yourself? I
make my music for myself anyway, to be honest with you. Like I don't actually make music for anyone else. I don't think I've got to that point where I'm making music for anyone else. I write to release, literally, like I said, if there's something I want to say, or if there's an experience that I feel like I'm ready to now write about, then I'll write about it. And I like to look at my music as like diary entries. Because like I said, it is very personal, it is very quite raw. So for me, like, and sometimes as well, like I'll get actually tired of listening to like Spotify and stuff like that, and I'll put on my own song because I'm like, actually, this is what I want to hear right now. So like I enjoy listening back to my own music, it's quite refreshing.
So with your music, what's something that you feel like you're trying to improve on with your actual like music itself?
All of it. There's not a day that goes by where I feel like I will be satisfied with where I am. I'm always trying to perfect my songwriting. I'm always trying to perfect, like my vocal ability. I feel like even performances, I feel like I'm a great performer, but at the same time, I've been performing in the same spaces for a bit too long. So when I get to that next stage now, when I'm on a bigger stage, it's adapting to that. And, it's like you go from your school football pitch to a 3G to like a whole AstroTurf. It's a lot bigger. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's getting out of this, like, I don't even want to say smaller spaces, because I still enjoy performing in those spaces, but taking myself to that next level and exposing myself to more bigger spaces, more opportunities where I can then adapt to that artistry, because I feel like where I'm at right now, I'm in a comfortable space. However, I know that I've got so much more to learn. So I am always trying to perfect and learn and just, really hone in on my craft.
Yeah, you touched on opportunities. How have you created your opportunities in your career? And what advice for people do you have who are trying to get an opportunity?
If I'm being completely honest, these opportunities have come to me and I've always been grateful for that. Sometimes I feel like I'm in my own way. So when opportunities do come to me, Spotify, Sephora, Rap Game, all those kind of things, I feel like they are God-given opportunities. I've not had to actively go out and search for opportunities, and that's one thing I'm grateful for. But again, I know that as time goes on, as you get better, as you get, to a more of a wider audience, those, you kind of have to put yourself in certain rooms and certain spaces. So it's all in due time, really and truly. Like, I wish I could give advice, but right now I've not had to do that. So I don't know if my advice would be credible, you know what I mean, or reliable.
So, what was your experience like working with Spotify?
Okay, my experience working with Spotify, it was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was through Girl Grind. Girl Grind is an organisation based in Birmingham who work with women of colour, non-binary women also. And yeah, like, that opportunity was presented to me through Namaiwa, who's the CEO of Girl Grind. She called me and she was like, do you want to perform for Koji? And I was like, Koji as in Koji Radical. And I was like, absolutely. Like, he's actually an artist that I really, really enjoy listening to and I've been listening to for a long time. So luckily, well, not even luckily, but like with the style of music that I do, I know that he also resonates within that style of music as well. So I created like a 3-track playlist of like songs that I know he would really, really like. And then was practicing it, making sure that, I got all the words down and whatnot. And like I said, I don't like intimate settings. So when we were actually there and I was performing, like, everyone's just staring at me. So I was just like, this is really awkward. But yeah, I was nervous performing, but I still got through, smashed it. But I actually had no idea that that performance was going to be on the billboards. It's literally when we got to Leicester Square, because Spotify invited Girl Grind down to the HQ to do the whole documentary rollout and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, we're going to go see the billboard. So it was cool. Got to Leicester Square now. And they're like, oh, the billboard's coming in 3, 2, 1. And I was like, that's me. That's me. And then the second billboard as well, I had no idea. And then they told us that the second one was me as well. So it was, again, a opportunity that was, well, not only just an opportunity, but a milestone and an achievement that, was amazing. You know what I mean? It was honestly, it was amazing. I still think about it today. Yeah.
So, how did it feel when you were working with Koji Radical? What was the experience like of working with him?
I haven't necessarily worked with him though. It was literally just to kind of give you an idea of the day. It was more so because Koji's just released his new album, obviously, that he would do obviously his press run and stuff like that. And I believe that part of the Spotify thing with Youth Music, that was part of his press run. So he came in and done an interview with Namaiwa. And then because Spotify and Youth Music were also releasing their Open Doors Fund, they wanted it was me and someone else to perform. So it wasn't necessarily me working with him, it was more so the way that the day ran, the opportunity was just there for us to do that. So yeah.
What was it like also working with Rap Game?
Well, for me, Rap Game was 2 years ago now. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing the show. I enjoyed doing the challenges. Obviously, my time on the show was quite short, which in one way, I don't mind. In another way, it's you kind of do wish you got further. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed being on the show. I don't know if I would do it again because I'm not sure in terms of I don't know if I would do it again, but I enjoyed my season. I enjoyed filming and I enjoyed, doing the challenges.
How do you want your art and your music to impact people?
I want my art and my music but to be honest with you, I actually just look at my music as art. I don't obviously it is music, but it was also an art form. And I want it to be long lasting. I want my music to be that safe space for people to come to when they want to hear something raw, when they want to hear something that's not, everything that the masses talk about. I want to be, I want it to be remembered as, like, just art, literally. Like, I want someone to come to my catalogue and be like, yeah, man, this is real music. This is like the proper art form of music, so yeah.
So, in the Birmingham scene, who are some artists that you'd love to collaborate with in the Birmingham scene?
Oh, do you know what? I love Sanity and I love Tremendous, Like, them two, for me, really, really epitomise artistry. And I think both of them, like, their lyrical content, their way that they deliver their bars, like, even just like the cadence, like, I love, like, for someone like Tremendous, she's quite animated in the way that she sort of like raps and stuff like that. And like Sanity, she's a bit more laid back, but she's got ways in which she like emphasizes certain things when she raps. And I just think both of them are so cool and collected that, yeah, they should be so much further, but all in due time, man. But them two for sure.
Well, what are some different genres that you'd like to experiment with? Or do you ever think about experimenting with your music?
Not as of yet. Not as of yet, but I love reggae. Reggae is honestly like one of my favorite, if not my favorite genre. I think that sort of like that reggae that's like really laid back, that nice laid back reggae that's just cool. And I'm trying to think, is there another? Do you know what I really actually like? Garage and funky house. Like, that was an era growing up that I really, really enjoyed. I'd love to play around with it. I don't know if it's anything that I would release, but I definitely love to like play around with that. Just but yeah, those two.
Yeah. So, what is like your dream place to perform as an artist?
I would just love to like be touring like jazz cafes and stuff like that. I feel like that's where my vibe is. But touring like the world in like jazz cafes, like, I'm not gonna lie, I think everyone has the dream of wanting to sell out stadiums and arenas and stuff like that. And, if I ever get the chance to do that, then that's great. But for me personally, like, I'd be so satisfied with just touring the world and just doing like nice, decent sized venues where it's not too crazy intimate, but, still like intimate setting venues, and really giving people an experience. Sometimes I think, we lose the art of actually giving people an experience because you want to do an arena or you want to do a bigger venue. I think for me, it's actually creating experiences for the people that are listening.
How do you want to like connect your clothing with your music?
I mean, I wear my clothes anyway, to be honest with you. Like, if I've got something to do, I'm gonna make something new. So it's all a part of my brand, like, regardless. I don't really have any way to connect it. It's me.
What would you say the most powerful qualities that you have as an artist are?
I've never thought about this, Maybe it's something I need to go away and actually think about and put it down on paper. But I would say my resilience, for one. I don't let anything beat me. Like, if I see something and it gets me down, I'm like, absolutely not. We're gonna, go 100 times more. I would also say my ability to hold my own in a room. I don't allow anything to intimidate me, or I don't allow myself to feel like I'm not supposed to be in a certain place. And I guess the way I show up for myself, I've done a lot of learning myself, a lot of self-reflection, and I think that shows in the way that I carry myself and the way that I deal with people, and even just speaking to people in general. So I'd say those three.
In what sort of ways, like, how do you self-reflect?
It depends. I think there's always room for self-reflection. I think it starts with being aware of yourself and everyone has habits, whether they're good or they're bad, and it's identifying those good and those bad habits. And if the bad habits are overriding the good habits, then how do we learn how to ensure that doesn't negatively present in forward facing? I think for me, I just want to be a decent individual, a decent human being. So learning how to deal with people, also understanding that. But for me anyway, like, I'm very aware that not everyone is going to have the same knowledge as me. So because I am aware and a reflective individual, that doesn't mean everyone else is going to be an aware and reflective individual. And it's understanding that people have their own traits and their own characteristics that themselves probably not aware that, really and truly, it's just learning yourself and actually also wanting to as well, because sometimes some people don't want to be reflective. Some people just want to just go ahead, do life, and they have a certain goal to get there, and that's okay. But for me, my journey is reflection is a massive part of my journey, and there's always, like I said, always room for that. And I think when you also hit new ages and new milestones and new areas of life, that obviously, because not to be philosophical, but we don't actually know why we're here, why we're on this earth, what this is all about. So I think for me, it's when I hit a new milestone in age or I have a new experience, I kind of reflect on, okay, cool, what was the experience? Did I like the experience? Was it was there anything that I felt uncomfortable about? Why did I feel uncomfortable about it? And just things like that. That's sort of like how I reflect. And once I identify like the core of it, then I can then kind of sit with it and then, understand it and analyse it from there.
Would you say that music's your main source of purpose, and is there any other things that make you feel purpose as a person?
Yeah, I would say music is, like, it's something that I've always wanted to do. Every time I've tried to put it down, it seems to keep finding me. So I'd say definitely. There's just this feeling that, like, like I said, like when I'm performing, when I'm creating, whether that's, just in my bedroom or from in the studio, or like I said, on stage, like, there's just this feeling that it's just like, yeah, this is exactly where you're meant to be. And like I said, every time I try to put it down, something happens where I'm thrown back into it and I'm just having the best time of my life, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, I think for me as well, like, I've been able to connect and associate sort of like me making my own clothes with my music and me doing other things like wanting to do like creative direction and stuff like that. That's all gone hand in hand. So I've been able to associate all those things within that and just kind of build my identity with those things. So yeah, like, everything for me that I do is purposeful. I think everything I also do is intentional, and yeah, music has always been the root of it.
How do you like place intentions and manifest as a person?
Boy, sir. Do you know what? I don't intentionally like manifest anything. I just say I want to do something and I just work towards it. And that could in itself be a manifestation, but I guess in the same breath, like, when I want something, I don't let it out my sight. Like, I go and get it. I'm very driven in that sense. Obviously there's certain things that I want to achieve, but I'm also a person that understands timing, and your timing ain't God's timing. So if something doesn't happen in a specific time, then I don't get mad about it. I just still work towards it because I know that it's coming. It's just the when, and you never know when. It could be tomorrow, it could be next year. Life is so fickle that your life can change within 6 months. It can change in 5 years. So it's just understanding and being aware.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you like disconnect from music? And
I don't. Oh, sorry, I don't disconnect from music. I have to every day. I don't have headphones at the moment, and it's really getting on my nerves. So I've been listening to music out loud and putting it to my ear. Yes, like, I can't disconnect from it. I don't know what it is. I have to listen to music, or I have to like put on a beat. Like, even if I don't create anything, I just have to. I can't live without it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Who are some of your? I know you cited Dochi. But like, who are your favourite artists to listen to?
Right now, my favorite artist to listen to, there's this artist from South Africa. She's called Betty Brown. I found her on TikTok. Oh my god, she's so good. And when I listen to her, like the way that she sings and sort of like her writing style and stuff like that, it's very like reminiscent of sort of like what I would want to put out there if I was doing like neo soul, like solely. So I really, really enjoy listening to her music. Love me some K1. Do love me some K1. I'm really enjoy K1. I'd say those two right now, and of course Doechii. Like she can't leave my playlist at the moment.
What are some of the achievements that you want to hit as an artist?
What are some of the achievements I want to hit? Wow, I just want to be comfortable, you know. I want to be stable. Like, I want to make a living off music, but I don't want to be in everyone's face like that. I think that's a bit too overwhelming for me. Like, I want people to know me and recognize my talents, but I don't want to be everywhere. I don't want to, you know, I think for me, just having a nice community that listens to my music goes hard for me. I get to perform, like I said, around the world, and yeah, just literally just making a living off this dream that I've had. Literally, yeah.
So what are some of the projects that you're currently working on?
So the projects I'm currently working on, I am currently creating like a three-track EP. So it's almost in a way where it's like a book. So it's Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and then each song is a chapter. And obviously the chapters tell different stories and whatnot. Introspection being chapter 1, so chapter 1 is out. And then but I want it to be kind of like done in a way where it's like visuals and music. So I'm hoping to actually create like a intro trailer for it, and that will involve a lot of like poetry, music and stuff like that. Just something different to give viewers, and also put stuff out there. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, like in terms of consistency and putting things out there, I've kind of been a hindrance to myself with that. So I think being able to put these acts out will start to build my catalogue a bit more. But then I am hoping to, well, not even hoping, like I will release a full-length mixtape called Welcome to Wonderland, which would be the final act, so Act 4, and that will kind of like tie all of the acts together. So Act 1 and Act 2 is actually like the songs are there. I just need to like re-record them, create the cover art for it, and just start the rollout for that. But it's just all in timing, really. Yeah.
So is there any further insight you can give to like the story behind the mixtape and?
Well, the stories are like my real life personal experiences. You know, like I won't give too much detail in terms of like the Act 1 and whatnot, but it's all a continuation of each other. So if you were to listen to it in order, it feels like scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, just sort of like all of the songs sort of like make sense in the order that it is.
So it's been another episode of Energy Inside Motion. You like to give the people your social media handle?
Yeah, I've been Dahlia Rae, and you can find me on. I only really use Instagram and TikTok. It's DAHLIAARAEE on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching.